I do have one tip topic that came in today. So that is, of course, as every week, my guy Del Mackey. Dude, this dude is just amazing. Thank you, Del, for supporting the show. Del tipped in. He said, Mike, did you see the budget for the new Lord of the Rings show on Amazon? It's crazy. How can Amazon hope to recoup the cost? You know what? Actually, I'm going to delve into this a little bit, Del. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm going to pull this up. I did hear about this literally right before I started my show, which is the only reason I didn't make it a topic because I didn't have time to. But I want to pull this up. So if you'll bear with me here, hold please. Let's see. Lord of the Rings. Amazon budget. Let's see. I heard it. Here we go. We'll pull up this Deadline article. Maybe they'll have a good. I also want to compare it to something too. So let me pull that up as well. Hold please. Almost done, guys. Almost done. It'll be worth it. It'll totally be worth it, Del. And I want to give you a comprehensive answer to your question, Del. So hold on. So what was the... Okay, I want to compare two things, okay? So let's start with this. And I'm going to pull this up for you guys. If you give me just a moment, I have to remap this. This is killer TV right here, the killer TV. I'm sure you guys are so happy with this. No, that's not it, is it? No. Hold on, cancel that. I'm doing so well, can't you guys tell? I'm glad for the people who are sticking around, even though this is taking forever for me to load. I don't know why it's not doing this. Oh, that's not it. That's not it. Here we go. That's it. I think that's the one. All right, so here we go. All right, done. Got it. Okay, so here is the article. The Lord of the Rings blockbuster budget for season 1 is revealed as New Zealand ups Amazon series rebate. So here's what we're looking at. Season 1 budget for the Lord of the Rings show on Amazon Prime is $465 million, which is 4 times plus the budget of the previous record holder for a television show budget, which was Game of Thrones. $465 million. Now let's put this in perspective. Knives Out, which just got bought by Netflix, their budget, so for 2 more movies, was and it's actually $460-some million too, actually, for the Knives Out one. So for 2 extra movies, Netflix bought Knives Out, which is still astronomical. But then Amazon shells out $465 million, about $10 million an episode for The Lord of the Rings. That is what you call ginormous budget. And it does 2 things. This is upping the production value for Lord of the Rings. That's thing number 1. Which, great. Lord of the Rings, a television show, should have an astronomical budget, right? It should have a huge production value. This is a world with monsters and dragons and dwarves and elves, and this is everything. That's what it should have. I mean, I'm not saying it shouldn't, but $465 million? And the question here that Dell asks is, how could Amazon hope to recoup the cost? Well, the answer is they can't. I don't think they're trying to recoup the cost. I think what they're trying to do is set a bar so high that nobody can touch it. Here's the difference between what Netflix did with Knives Out, where they've spent $470+ million on the 2 Knives Out sequels and the exclusive rights for those, and the Lord of the Rings thing. You're still getting way more content on the Lord of the Rings deal, even in season 1. Even 1 season of Lord of the Rings is still more time content on there. Also, $465 million for Lord of the Rings is an IP that is as great as Knives Out is, it is not on the level of Lord of the Rings as far as an IP is concerned. So that's 2. And 3, Netflix is like $29 billion in debt, whereas Amazon has more money than God. Amazon can drop $465 million on the table as if they're buying a cheeseburger. Netflix, on the other hand, has to sell shit they don't have to do that. So the difference being, and what Amazon is doing right now is saying, okay, Netflix, we see what you did over here. We actually have the money, so watch this. Beep, beep, back up the truck. And that's exactly what they did. But the difference being is Amazon could do this all day. The real winner out of all of this between Amazon and Netflix is Disney. Disney's sitting there going, you guys, we just put our own IP up and we're still like, we're more popular than you, Amazon, and we're on your heels, Netflix. Disney is the real winner because they're not spending, I mean, they're spending big budgets. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure the budget's on Mandalorian, and I'm sure the budget's on Star Wars stuff. I'm sure the budget's on all the Marvel stuff is high, but it isn't that kind of high. That's overpaying. And Disney is not overpaying. So they're winning. HBO Max. I bagged on them a lot, but they're not overpaying for IP like this. Paramount has actually been really smart. They just launched Paramount Plus, but also what they've done is they've sold off a lot of their IP to stream, to Netflix, to stream. And Paramount's been actually making money through the whole pandemic because of that. Now they're going to get some of those rights back eventually. And so they're going to make out double because down the road, they're going to get some of those IPs back on their Paramount Plus network. Plus, they're not spending those kind of budgets. So in my opinion, the big loser here is Netflix. Amazon can afford to waste money. Netflix cannot. So I think the biggest loser here in this whole arms race between the streaming services of who's going to spend the most money, the biggest loser is Netflix. Netflix is I don't know what they're doing, man. And look, they're probably going to be fine. Netflix can turn around literally and just stop paying for all these, properties that they're putting on there because they have enough original content now where they could just stop paying for that and they can recoup a lot of this cost and maybe a lot of that debt in like 2-3 years. Netflix makes billions of dollars a year. So that's why, financiers are willing to do that. But at some point, they got to start doing that because spending $470 billion on Knives Out was a poor decision. Even if Knives Out is a wonderful IP and a great director and it, the first movie was wonderful, it didn't even make out that much money in the box office. So I don't know. Again, I think Amazon, in the grand scheme of things, Dell, Amazon's going to lose some money on this, but they can afford to. But the biggest loser is still Netflix. Because now they just spent all that money last week on Knives Out. And on top of it, Amazon's like, oh, yeah, well, we'll raise you. Season 1. We'll raise you with a Season 1 budget of what you just paid for Lord of the Rings. And it's a bigger IP. So in my opinion, again, the biggest loser in this, even though Amazon's not going to recoup the cost, it's Netflix. Netflix is losing, and it's going to be very interesting to see what they do in the next couple of years because Netflix has been spending and spending and spending and spending and spending, and at some point they got to cut that off. So